joining me for the DorsV webinar on myViSafe. My name is Sarah Risley and I'm the Senior Market Development Lead for DorsV. I'm really excited today to be talking to you about our new product for the first time, myViSafe, which has just been launched this month. Before I do though, I'd like to tell you a little bit more about DorsV and VSafe for those of you not already familiar with us. The webinar will take approximately 30 minutes. I'm hoping to cover the content in 20 to 25 minutes, and there'll be time for some questions at the end. So, as I said, a little bit more about DorsV. As you can see from the timeline here, the company has actually been in development for many years before we launched our product in 2013. We're an Australian listed company with operations in Australia, USA and UK. And you'll be able to see in a moment when I talk through our client list that we have grown quite extensively around the globe with the technology that we've been able to provide. We've done many years of research and development to be able to bring you the best product to market now. Our products are actually available across 3 different sectors. So we have vMove, which is our clinical product, vPerform, which is used in elite sports, and VSafe, which is our occ health and safety product that's used in the workplace. Today I'm going to focus on talking about VSafe workplace solutions, which is why you're all here. Our VSafe product is designed to help reduce costs and injury, improve productivity, and build a safety culture. And I'm going to talk to you in a bit more detail now in terms of how we do that. But first of all, let's have a look at the clients that we have, because as you can see here, there's some big name brands across a number of different industries. And these companies have one thing in common. They've all looked for innovative, engaging ways to improve safety within their organisation. And DorsV have been able to help them achieve this. Now I'm going to talk to you about how we've actually been able to do this. Wearables in the workplace. I think one of our biggest advantages is that we've been able to help companies make the most of the opportunity that wearables are hot right now. So everyone is interested in them. People are using them in many ways and they love information on their own performance and data. You can even get that sort of competitive effect between workers in terms of how they're performing using wearables. And it gives us the ability to transform what has tended to be traditionally a bit of a dry topic, which is, manual handling and safety within an organisation, that now is injected with the same excitement and engagement by using wearable technology. The other thing about wearables in the workplace is that it's not just developing in areas like movement and muscle strain, which is what DorsV looks at, but also wearables are starting to be used for fatigue monitoring, proximity warning, looking at force and a whole range of areas. So it's definitely a growing, rapidly developing area at the moment. And the safety managers that have been looking at this are actually the ones that like to challenge the status quo and want new innovative ways to deliver better outcomes and improve the safety within the organisation. And there's so many products available on the market at the moment, so I think it's really important that people understand the difference between these products, because there's a lot of consumer-based products out there. And using that in a safety environment where you're making decisions, big decisions about investing in a new piece of equipment or a new way for workers to undertake a task, it's absolutely critical that you can trust the data that you're getting from the wearables. Because if you can't trust that data and you're making decisions on it, it's basically going to be a waste of time, and even worse could be that you're making the wrong decisions. So it's absolutely critical that you can trust the data. And that's what sets DorsV apart. So we've got medical grade technology. As you could see from the timeline earlier, this took years of development. So we did clinical research, which involved validation studies, reliability studies. We have clinical trial evidence in people with low back pain and injuries to show that by wearing our technology, they achieve better outcomes with pain and function. So as you can see on screen, our sensors are small, they're durable, In the sensors, you have a 3D accelerometer, gyroscope and magnetometer that allow you to measure movement accurately, and we can also measure vibration exposure. So looking at whole body vibration for companies that might be using heavy machinery or are concerned about vibration exposure for their workers. And we also measure muscle activity, so surface EMG. So if you're looking at a back assessment, you'll be looking at this strain on the erector spinae muscles, or if you're looking at the shoulders, you may be looking at the strain on the trapezius muscles. So the ability to be able to combine movement data with surface EMG is unique. And Dorsavi and our technology are the only ones that have FDA approval for doing this. So I guess this is why when you look at our client list and the fact that we only launched 3 years ago and we have some big name brands in the UK and US and all around the globe, is that no one is actually delivering on these outcomes as a medical grade regulatory approved product. So it definitely is one of the key characteristics that sets us apart from other wearables. The other thing about our product is that it's supported by a team of health professionals with health and safety experience, and my background is as an occupational therapist, and you'll find most of the people that work in Dorsavi either have a science health degree or OH&S experience. So when I talk to you a little bit more about the myViSafe product, you'll see why this is important. It's not just about using the tech and the sensors. For the myViSafe product, it's also about the expertise that go into that consulting service. So just a little bit more on how we assess complex movement. The types of things that we report on are the range of movement, as I said, whole body vibration, muscle activity, and then we can look at sustained movements and repetition of movement. Because sometimes safety managers might come to us and they already know, this is our high risk task, we know this is the problem. But what our sensors help identify for them is, what is that worker doing throughout the day? There might be small movements that they're doing that actually has them in a compromised position for their shoulder or back before they even go into the high risk. And it's about us looking across all that data and being able to understand and help advise as to where they can make improvements that are going to deliver the right outcomes for the worker and reduce injuries. So the myViSafe solution features multiple sensors that accurately measure complex movement. The sensors are durable, they're placed on various parts of the body as required, and we find in most of cases for myViSafe we tend to be used on the back and shoulders, because this is where most of our clients are seeing injuries. They measure how the workforce is moving in real life situations, and you might find some people come to us and say, hey, if they've got sensors on and someone's filming, surely the worker's doing it all best practice and we're not seeing the true picture. But I can tell you from all of the myViSafe assessment data that we look at that people very quickly forget that they have the sensors on, and our assessors are trained in terms of being very inconspicuous so that people do go about their practice as normal, and we see that every day when we look at the film and data, because people are doing all sorts of things that safety managers love to be able to see what's going on and then have some real data to be able to address some of those things. So it gives that real time and real life situation and allows the safety manager to look at this data and be proactive so that they can actually prevent injuries from occurring as opposed to just dealing with it after the injury. So now you know a bit more about our technology and how it works, I want to talk to you about our myViSafe service and how our product is delivered to get you the results. So myViSafe typically fits into these categories that you can see displayed up the top of this diagram. What we tend to get asked by most clients is to come and do an objective baseline assessment. So that's the first category on the left. And that's basically where we look at the current work environment and the practices among the workers to help uncover, assess, and then score workplace manual handling risk. And in some cases, look at productivity as well. So after that objective assessment's done, we might come out with some recommendations, which can include introduction of a new piece of equipment or a new way of doing something. And from then we tend to get asked to do a comparative assessment between the two pieces of equipment that allows the company to make the right decision about a process change or equipment selection. If the company is going to invest an enormous amount of money and time in introducing either a new piece of equipment or a new way of doing things, they want to know that it's going to be worthwhile. And we can give specific numbers on that. So we can look at one way of doing it versus another, and basically say, well, this way is going to reduce your risk by 40%, whereas this way it will reduce it by 80%. By giving clear numbers like that to safety managers, they feel empowered to then be able to take it to the CFO or other people within the organisation that need to support that change, and basically be able to give them objective data on what the impact of that's going to be. So it's really about giving you the tools and information that you need to be able to deliver on what you're trying to achieve. And in terms of the training and monitoring, this is about leveraging the assessment data and using app-based tools to provide real-time feedback, and then audit the effectiveness of training and employee compliance on an everyday basis. So I'm going to talk a little bit about myViSafe later on, which tends to fit into this category. And so out of those components, I guess the critical thing is, what does that mean? What does a company get? Well, we see from a lot of our assessments that there's increased productivity. So we identify best practice and we help provide data that talks about what's going to be the best piece or the optimal equipment to actually perform the task, and that will maximise worker efficiency. We also, by identifying risk, which can be eliminated or reduced, and by integrating that with job dictionaries and improving return to work programs, we're able to penetrate across a large number of areas within the business that help reduce injuries and costs. And of course, enhancing the safety culture is extremely important. So by being able to take this across the workplace and improve compliance, engage employees and modify workplace behaviour, we're able to get the best outcomes. So let's talk a little bit more about the detail of what's involved in each of these three stages. So the VSafe assessments is where we start with our VSafe product, and this is where we scope out the product, we scope out the project, we collect the data, and then we can do comparisons and provide recommendations so that overall we're delivering you a better understanding of what exactly is going on. And this is based on hardcore data, not a gut feeling about where we think the issues might be. So our expert team, as part of this process, they help you design the right VSafe assessment to understand specific manual handling issues and where there's opportunities within those tasks to improve outcomes for worker safety. Our assessors fit the equipment, collect the data, and they video the worker. And then we get this data and we sync the video and movement and muscle activity data. So it's like you can see under the skin. And that's quite empowering for workers in terms of engaging them in manual handling training. If they can understand the why they should be doing it this way as opposed to just telling them the what, you really find employee engagement and compliance with these changes is much higher. So it's from reviewing this data and providing the company with a comprehensive report with recommendations that then can be shared throughout the workplace so that people not only are happy to support the recommendations, but they follow these practices and are more compliant with them on a daily basis. Following the VSafe assessment, DorsV can test and provide solutions that will help you introduce manual handling change and equipment. They can monitor the effect of these changes, compare alternative options, and in doing so, improve the safety culture and engage employees in manual handling training. During the VSafe implementation stage, DoorSurvey works with you to build new systems, processes, and embed the technology into your everyday manual handling practice. And this is where I was talking about the opportunity to use this data. So it's not just getting a VSafe assessment and some recommendations. It's about, well, how can we then use this data? Maybe we can create a movement job dictionaries for these roles so that when someone then injures themselves, they've got a very clear objective understanding of what's physically required to perform that task from a manual handling and musculoskeletal demand perspective. And then the technology can be used to actually monitor the worker before they're coming back to work to see what their capabilities are, so that you're personalising that return to work plan based on what the employee can do and what the job requires them to do. So that's just one area where our technology and data can be embedded to get better outcomes, but there's also opportunities in pre-employment screening and other parts of the business. I'm not going to go into those into too much detail because today I really want to focus on myViSafe. But if you'd like to know more about those areas, please feel free to contact us after the webinar. So I'm now going to talk in detail about our new product, myViSafe, and it's been very exciting development process for us because it's actually through really understanding our customers' needs that this product has come about. We've created it with the desire to help customers make the data that we've provided them livable throughout the organisation. And the myViSafe product is a self-managed solution. So once you've got your VSafe assessment, it's about us utilising that data to personalise an app that understands what that work is required to do and what the normal movement and musculoskeletal demands are of performing the various tasks. So the myViSafe app and wearable sensor system has the intelligence of the VSafe assessments that are now able to be applied every day for workers on the job. The customers have been able to use a myViSafe assessment by fitting these onto the workers. So that might be a safety team member or a store manager or potentially colleagues, fitting the sensors and then being able to download the app and get that live feedback. So it's about performing the task and then understanding their abilities and risks, I guess, in terms of how they've performed that tasks. But before I talk more about this, I'm going to show you a video that explains myViSafe in a lot more detail, and then I'll highlight some of the key points after that video has been played.
myViSafe is an innovative application designed to revolutionise manual handling activities in your workplace. myViSafe uses wireless wearable sensors to precisely measure movement of the low back and shoulder, enabling safety professionals to assess, audit, and improve the way employees work. Using myViSafe, your employees are assessed in real time and on the job, ensuring that the data you collect is a true reflection of what happens in real-life work environments. Using myViSafe is easy. The mini sensors are placed on the worker to assess either the low back or the shoulder. The sensors are small and lightweight and can be worn discreetly under clothing without disrupting a typical workday. Movement data is collected for specific jobs and tasks and is able to be viewed on the screen while the assessment is in progress. As the employee performs their work, the sensors measure the range of movement of the lower back or shoulder and the portion of time spent in each position. In this task, the employee is bending into an extreme range of lumbar flexion. This movement is calculated from the data transmitted from both upper and lower back sensors. Manual handling guidelines advise that movements involving excessive flexion will increase the risk of low back injury, and therefore this movement will flag in the red or high alert zone. This can be contrasted to a task where the low back is in a neutral posture, which is classified as a safer green zone movement. When assessing shoulder movements, the data is recorded simultaneously for both shoulders. Movement at elevated end of range falls into the red zone, in contrast to tasks where the arm is held close to the body, which register in the green zone. One or more tasks can be easily captured in any assessment session to provide a comprehensive assessment of the demands of all elements of your employee's job. An assessment of any one task can be repeated multiple times, providing the opportunity to make equipment or technique changes and then reassess the effect of those changes. On finishing an assessment, your myViSafe data is automatically analysed using the complex movement algorithms embedded within the application. Each task assessment is categorised as red, amber or green and is stored on the app itself for easy access. These reports can be filtered by risk category, job, task or employee, allowing you to prioritise your interventions. The data can also be collated into your own customised vSafe dashboard, providing a record of compliance and an overview of your organisation's manual handling risk. A personalised PDF report is also available to share with employees. Empowering your employees to play a greater role in their personal safety at work has never been easier. myViSafe from myViSafe. Go online today and contact us for a free demonstration.
Just a couple of things I want to cover off about myViSafe. So I think, first of all, what I love about this product is that, as the video talked about, it empowers employees to take some responsibility. So a lot of employees, by having that awareness and having it on the job while they're doing things, it's making manual handling training accessible, exciting, interesting. Traditionally, we hear from clients that people are put in a training room for 1 to 2 days at the start of the year to run through some videos on how they're supposed to do things. But once it comes to being out there on the job under time pressures, people distracting them, it's pretty hard to be compliant with some of these things. And it's not that the workers are deliberately not being compliant, it's just that they've forgotten what some of the issues are, or they think they're doing it the right way, but when they're wearing the sensors, they actually can see that they're potentially not doing it the right way. And I love the ability that it can just give them that direct feedback. So they can select a particular task that they're doing, perform the task, immediately after that task's ended, be able to get a risk rating, and if they're in that high risk zone, it prompts them to a video that's specific to their company and their task. So they can watch that best practice video and then they can do the task again and immediately get feedback as to whether they've been able to improve their risk or reduce their risk. And as I said, this is not only engaging for people and accessible on the job, but it can even create some excitement and sort of competitiveness between people, where they can say, I was able to clear 20 boxes or cartons or unload 20 cartons, but my risk rating score was really low, I was only in the 5%. And that sort of talk and engaging people is just a massive opportunity. And as I said, the myViSafe has really come about through us understanding what some of the issues were, and people were loving getting our vSafe data, but then they wanted to see that it was, people were still applying it every day on the job, and that's why we created this product. And the other thing I think that's important to talk about is the fact that the technology is really simple to use. It's intuitive. It's a bit like when you get an iPhone, you don't need to read a big instruction manual. This product is just looking at people's movements, so we've kept it simple. It's easy for workers to understand. We work across a range of different industries, so we have the ability for the app to be personalised to what the particular tasks and the organisation's requirements are, but the one consistent thing is that it's simple and easy to use. So it's not like it requires a whole lot of training. And the fitment process as well means that it's personalised to that individual. So we have templates with the sensors so that the sensors can be fit in the right place every time. And that's how you know that your data is accurate as well, because we're not just putting the sensors in different positions, you're getting that real consistency and reliability. And we've done clinical trials to show that the technology is reliable. One last point I want to make about it is that you might look at something like this in that video and think, okay, so does this mean I've got 80,000 employees and I need to get the app and a set of sensors for every single employee? And the fact is, it doesn't need to be used that way. So about making it accessible across the workforce, really we try and understand what it is that you're trying to achieve, and from that we'll be able to advise in terms of how many sensors and apps are required across the organisation. But we do know from the clinical trial that we ran that people have changes in behaviour from just wearing the technology once a week for 8 to 10 weeks. So it can be a system that's rotated between departments within your organisation. Like I said, you can even get that sort of competition going. You know, in Victoria, we're going to do a range of assessments and see what the scoring was, and then we're going to roll it out to New South Wales next. So it's really up to what's going to work best within your organisation. And Dorsavy, through understanding what your needs are, can create that system for you. But as I said, you do get the results by people wearing it for 8 weeks. They will see changes, and it's even when we measured those people in our randomised controlled trial a year later and they hadn't worn it that entire period, they were still far improved in terms of pain and functional ability. So they'd retained the knowledge, because once you have that biofeedback on the job, then you understand and you keep that information with you. So that's about it from me in terms of going through. I hope it's not too dry just listening to one person talk through the slides, but I think it gives you a brief introduction in terms of what this product can provide. I'd like to now open it for people to ask any questions if they have any. And I would also invite each of you to contact Dorsavy after this webinar so that we can have a more personalised discussion in terms of what your needs are. Now, one of the questions that have come through are the sensors reusable across multiple people? That's a great question, because sometimes we forget to talk about the details like that. But the sensors have a disposable adhesive pad. So yes, the sensors can be used across various people within the organisation. They're simply attached to the surface on the skin through the adhesive pad. And once you've done the assessment, the adhesive pad's easily removed and the sensors can be used with somebody else. So it's just a matter of downloading the app onto or using a tablet, an iPad, a mini iPad, and having that information accessible to people and being able to use the sensors as required.